3 real cases, fully investigated, officially documented, and yet, none of them make sense when you look at what actually happened. In one case, experienced hikers abandoned their own tent in the middle of a frozen night and walked straight into death for reasons no one could agree on. In another, a woman was captured on security footage, acting like she was reacting to something no one else could see inside a sealed hotel. And in the last, a house fire destroyed everything except the most important evidence, because no remains of the missing children were ever found. These aren't theories. They're official investigations. But in every single one, the conclusion never fully connects to the facts. At first, it was just another expedition. A group of experienced hikers, well-trained, well-prepared, no signs of risk. They were traveling through the Ural Mountains in Russia in 1959. Nothing about the journey suggested it would end in mystery. Until the final night. They set up their tent on a remote frozen slope, wind rising, temperature dropping rapidly. Inside the tent, everything was normal. Gear was placed, supplies untouched, no panic, no distress. And then, something happened, because sometime during that night, every one of them made the same impossible decision. They cut their way out of the tent, from the inside, not through the entrance, through the fabric, and they left. Barefoot, half-dressed, into a frozen wilderness at night. No signs of immediate struggle inside the tent. No clear reason to flee. Just sudden abandonment. Hours later, search teams began tracking them. What they found didn't clarify anything. Their footprints led away from the tent, down the slope. At first, they were organized, almost calm. Then they stopped making sense. Some bodies were found near trees, as if they had been trying to survive something, or stay warm. Others were scattered farther away, underdressed, frozen, alone, and the most disturbing part, there were no clear signs of an attack, no confirmed external enemy, no obvious predator, no visible cause of mass panic, just contradictions. Some injuries looked like extreme force, others like exposure, and none of it pointed to a single explanation that worked. Investigators tried everything. Avalanche, military tests, weather anomalies, even psychological panic under extreme conditions. But every theory broke at the same point. It could explain one detail, but not the rest. So the question never went away. Why would experienced hikers leave shelter in the middle of a freezing night and walk calmly into conditions that guaranteed death? That answer has never been confirmed, and decades later, the mountain still holds the same question. What made them leave that tent? At first, it looked like a normal missing persons case. A young traveler, a solo trip, a stay in a downtown hotel in Los Angeles. Nothing unusual. Her name was Elisa Lam. She checked into the hotel alone and was last seen on security cameras inside the building. At first, everything seemed routine. She moved through the lobby, entered the elevator, pressed multiple buttons, but then something changed. Her behavior became unpredictable. She stepped in and out of the elevator, paused, looked down the hallway, as if she was reacting to something no one else could see. She gestured toward empty space, then suddenly stopped, then moved again, then vanished from camera view entirely. After that moment, she was gone. No confirmed exit on security footage. No sign of her leaving the building normally. No immediate trace of where she went. And the hotel itself wasn't small. Multiple floors, restricted areas, locked access points. A place where movement was constantly monitored. Yet somehow, she disappeared inside it. Days passed, then weeks. Search teams checked everywhere. Rooms, hallways, rooftops, stairwells, nothing. Until the case took another strange turn. Guests began reporting problems with the water. Low pressure, strange taste, unusual color. And, eventually, maintenance checked the rooftop water tanks. What they found ended the search, but deepened the mystery. Her body was inside one of the tanks. But the question wasn't just what happened. It was how she got there. The tanks were sealed. Access required climbing restricted structures. There were no clear entry points that matched a normal path. And yet, she was inside. Investigators reviewed the footage again and again. Her final elevator movements were analyzed frame by frame, but they didn't reveal a clear explanation. No confirmed struggle, no visible attacker, no direct evidence of how she left the surveillance system blind spots. Some theories were suggested: accident, psychological episode, misadventure, but none of them fully explained the sequence of events from start to finish. Because the timeline always had gaps, and in those gaps, she disappeared. So the question remains: how does someone vanish inside a building covered in cameras and end up in a place investigators still struggle to explain access to? Even today, there is no single answer that closes every part of the case, only fragments, and one missing path that still doesn't add up. At first, it looked like a tragic house fire. Christmas Eve, a family at home. Nothing unusual about the night. The Sauter family lived in West Virginia. 9 people were inside the house when the fire started. The flames spread fast, too fast. The parents and some of the children managed to escape, but 5 of the children never made it out. At least, that's what it looked like. By morning, the house was gone, reduced to ash, and investigators arrived expecting to find remains. But they didn't. No bones, no bodies, no physical evidence that the missing children had died in the fire. And that's where the case stopped making sense. Because in fires like this, something is always left behind. Fragments, traces, anything. But here, there was nothing. It was as if those 5 children were never inside the house at all. Then more details began to surface. The fire started under unusual circumstances. There were reports of strange activity before that night, and during the fire, multiple things went wrong at the same time. The phone line failed. The water supply didn't work properly. Even the ladder the family needed to reach the upper floor was missing. Too many failures, too many coincidences, all happening at once. Investigators ruled it a fire, case closed, but the family didn't accept that answer because the evidence didn't support it. Years passed, then something even more unsettling appeared. A photograph, sent anonymously. It showed a boy who looked strikingly similar to one of the missing children, alive, older, but recognizable. No confirmation, no clear origin, just another piece that didn't fit. And that became the pattern of this case. Every explanation left something out. If the children died in the fire, where were the remains? If they didn't, what actually happened that night? And how could 5 children disappear without leaving a single trace behind? Even decades later, there is no definitive answer, only a fire that destroyed everything, except the truth of what really happened. So which one doesn't make sense to you? The hikers who walked into the freezing dark, the woman who vanished inside a locked hotel, or the fire that left no trace behind? Because in every case, something is missing. And whatever that missing piece is, it's the only thing that would explain everything.